Hello, hello. It is a new day and it is full of the bright, sparkling freshness of a new morning after a big storm. So we had a lot of rain and a lot of wind and thunder and lightning. But this morning, everything just looks gorgeous. And Matilda is getting impatient. Matilda is a little bit muddy and she's very impatient this morning for her food and to be milked because I need to put her in a new paddock this morning. Let's go. So this will be old news by the time you guys see this. We had a big storm come through last night and, well, actually it wasn't last night, it was yesterday. And I wasn't able to post my video that I was supposed to post yesterday for my 100 days of homesteading because we still had power. We lost power for a little bit, but the power came back on. But I think something's happened to our satellite dish because we have no phone or internet. Which of course is what I need to upload a video. So I may have to drive into town this morning to upload one. Because the men folk are all away at work and I think we may have to get up on the roof and try and fix that satellite dish. It may have just got blown around, I'm not sure. One thing we have been slowly working on is weaning Matilda from grain, which I know is a slightly controversial topic. If anyone who is in the dairy cow world will testify. But in consultation with Sean and Beth Doherty, and after doing their course online. So I grew up with a hand-milked dairy cow, my dad milking. I never did the hand milking. I helped when we moved to the dairy farm. I milked a lot in the shed, but the hand milking was always done by Dad, but he always had 1 or 2 dairy cows in milk, I think pretty much at all times from my memory. And he never fed those cows a scrap of grain. They were completely on pasture, and I do remember he would toss them a biscuit of hay when they came in to be milked. But that was it. And when I inquired about that, it really depends who you ask here. Some people will swear up and down, black and blue, that dairy cows have to have grain. And others will say, well, you can get... Okay, she needs more hay. So some will swear that dairy cows have to have grain. Others have said to me, well, you can have a grass-fed dairy cow, but you have to have a cow that comes from grass-fed genetics. And if she's been, like that's something that you have to, I guess, breed out of them over a long period of time. But after talking to Sean and Beth, who have, and I've just been emailing them because I did their dairy cow course on the School of Traditional Skills, and they're really awesome about wanting to help people. And so if you email them, they will reply to you. I've emailed them several times and Beth has replied within a couple of days, which I think is pretty good considering how many people are probably getting their help. But they have been milking cows for 30 years. And they have said that they have weaned cows from grain, especially if they're young. And Matilda's just a heifer. She's, well, now I don't know how the terms exactly work here. She's had one calf. So she's 2 years old. She's pretty young. So Beth said there should be no problem weaning her as long as I do it slowly. So I've just been slowly backing her off the grain, sort of transferring her, like when she's finished the grain, I give her alfalfa. So she's down at the moment to half a scoop of grain, and her milk production has actually increased. And she is, like, really, it's a long time since she's had a calf, is, you know, in the dairy world. So let me see. When I purchased her, she was about 100 days since she calved, and that was what, 3-4 months ago. So, you know, it's been a good while, and her milk production has got, yesterday she gave us almost a gallon in the morning, and then another 3/4 in the afternoon. When we first got her, I was lucky to get a full gallon a day, which is not very much milk when you're talking about dairy cows. But like I said, I think she does need to. Why did you step over, love? She needs to calf again to freshen up. And I finally was able to get the pregnancy test. I do not think she's in calf. I really don't. I have not seen any indications whatsoever. And I'm not 100% sure, but I have seen a couple of little indications that maybe she's gone into heat a couple of times since we've had her, which she probably has every time, and I just haven't noticed. But anyway, I got the pregnancy test so that I can just know for sure. And we'll have to look at getting her with a bull or see what our options are after I get that test done. But I am greatly encouraged that the grain's going down, the hay's going up, and her milk production is going up. So, careful, babe. I know it's a want, not a need, because this is working really well. Like, she stands and I milk her, and we've got this nice little concrete platform, which just happened to be here. It's easy to clean off and everything. But, gee, it'll be nice when I get a cow bale, or what here they call a stanchion, because it'll just secure her head in, and we'll put a rail down that other side, because she does tend to step sideways, especially when her hay gets low. She starts stepping around. Hold still, babe, like that. And then I have to scoot over. But one of these days we'll get a cow bale in here, and it definitely will make life easier. It's not a deal breaker, like it's quite doable without, and I know some people, like Justin Rhodes milks out in the pasture, which we've done that. You know, if you've been here a while, you'll have seen old videos when we first got her, we were just tying her to a tree in the pasture. But this is just an all-weather option that I like. Like last night, I didn't bring the camera out because it was raining cats and dogs. It was heavy rain. And we were in under here. Now I got saturated walking her to and from here, but at least while I was milking, I was nice and dry. And she was nice and dry, because all the water, you think about if you're standing out in the rain, it's all coming off of her body, dripping down into the bucket. Not really the most sanitary. But sometimes it is really nice to milk out in the paddock. And she does stand for that if I tie her, but this is definitely easier. And I just keep everything I need here. I've got the fly spray, I've got the udder balm if I need it, the feed is here. Matilda is milked, and I have just taken the milk up to the house, and Caleb is going to filter it. He's going to filter it and put it in the fridge, wash the buckets and all that, while I take her back because I need to move her paddock. Now, I am on my own with that today because, like I said, 2 of the men folk are at work. We have one of our tribe who is a mad keen fisherman, so he's fishing. We have one at a basketball clinic, and Cabes is here, but he's helping take care of the little ones and he's doing the milk. So I'm just gonna have to adjust exactly what I would normally do. Moving the fence, I can easily do that by myself. That's not a problem. It's the water trough that is tricky on my own when it's full of water and when I have to move it. So I'm just gonna have to adjust exactly what I do because I won't be able to empty that trough on my own. Okay, I'm standing here with a little biscuit of hay, and Matilda girl here, I've been wanting to share this with you for a while. On the way back to her paddock, but it's a matter of finding the... So she has a little bit of a stubborn streak, and I know she is pulling one over on me right now. I do not have... Come on, girl. She just will stop in wherever she is, or that she decides she wants to stop. She'll stop there. Sometimes she'll put her head down and eat. Sometimes she'll just stand there. And this is a power play. That's what this is. This is a, you won't tell me what to do. Even though she knows she's going to get this when she gets back to her paddock, and sometimes that will entice her. But this has been a little bit of an ongoing situation, hasn't it, miss? Yeah. Cows are herd animals, and there is always a top cow, just like there is, you know, the pecking order with chickens, and there'll be a top chicken. There is a top cow, isn't there? And she is trying to say, that's me, because she doesn't have a herd. She's on her own here at the moment. So that means I'm her herd. We are her herd. Our family is her herd. So she will try and push us around and be bossy. Now, growing up, we would have, well, we didn't lead cows. That's the first point of difference, is we didn't tend to lead them. Dad would go to the gate and call them, and they'd come running and they'd go in, and he'd sort of come behind them rather than in front of them after he'd called them. And in the milk shed, they were all trained, and you'd go out with a dog or with a four-wheeler and kind of go behind them, but they knew to come. But if you had a stubborn cow, we used to have just a really lightweight piece of polypipe, about 1.5 meters long, which is what, 3 yards? No, 3, is that right? No, 3 feet. It's not 3 yards, 3 feet. And you just tap it on her flank, which is sort of this area back here. So she's just standing there. You are being a stubborn coot, love. Yes, you are. All right, come on. Let's go back to the paddock. You coming? Come on. Let's go. We can stand here all day. Anyway, I don't have at the moment the right kind of material because I don't want to use something that will scratch her or injure her. I did have a willow stick, and that's kind of good, but it broke. So anyway, just honest sharing here this ongoing issue we're having with Matilda. So I don't know if you can see, but I have picked up a few small branches of oak that she stopped again. We got a little bit further. I feel like it's getting worse. So she didn't do this for a while and now she started doing it again. She's just being stubborn, but I'm gonna have to do something about it, because the more you allow an animal to put one over on you, especially a large animal like this, the more they will push the boundaries. And a lightweight piece of polypipe or a stick is not going to injure her in any way. All right, she's being very stubborn today. I've just decided to tie her here to this fence. I've tied her to this cyclone fence before. I've given her a bite of hay and a few oak leaves, and I'm going to go move the fence, and I'll deal with her in a minute, because I don't have all day to stand there with her. So she can stay tied to that fence. She'll be quite secure, and if she gets away, she's just out in this back paddock anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's pretty purple flowers all through here, and the bees are loving them. Okay, so I'm back over where Matilda's paddock is, and this trough here is, so her paddock is right here, from here to here, and she's eaten that down really nicely. And so ideally what I would do is I would just move her over. Let me see if I can show you. So we've got short clipped grass and long grass back here, so I would just move her along here. Now the trouble with that today is her water trough is up that end, and I've already kept the water trough there for a few days as I moved the fence around it. But today, being on my own, I cannot move that water trough on my own because it's really full after that big storm, and I will not be able to tip it over. And even if I went and got Cabes, he and I wouldn't be able to tip it over. So I need to make a plan where the water trough stays in the same place today, and I just extend her paddock maybe, or I might put it out this side and maybe a long narrow sort of walkway back to the trough. I may do that actually, so that she is in a new area, but I'll just have to keep a laneway, kind of like what I did over in the other paddock. And if I do that, keep a laneway here, I'll also be able to keep the energizer and the grounding rod all in the same place, and I'll just make a narrow laneway down there, and then she can go out into that new grassed area. Just coming to get some extra posts from the wagon, because making a laneway requires extra fence line to what we had just now. So I'm collecting a couple of extra posts, and I'm going to go down here. Now, one thing that is really tricky to portray on, oh, that one was stuck. The one thing that is tricky to portray on camera is polytwine fencing because it doesn't tend to show up very well. Now, granted, I am just filming on my phone, on my iPhone, which is that's all I do my videos on, because it's what I had. So I don't have fancy camera equipment, and it might be easier if I did. I guess it might show up more on this sort of thing, but I'll try and show you. So we have these posts with this polytwine, and I am going around. So this is a burn pile on the property, which we do try and burn things like wood, cardboard, things that are flammable and not toxic, so that we can reduce what we have to take to the dump. But it does have sometimes bits of metal in there, so I am going around it. So you might be able to see I've got a fence post here. Now I'm going to have to move that along a little because it's got twigs that might hit the line across there. But I don't want to have Matilda in a situation where she could injure herself on any of those things. So I'm going around that. I have a couple of logs that I don't mind her in and around the logs. And where they're low like this, I can go right over the top of the log. So I don't know if you can see, I've got a post there, a post over there, and this is the part that's hard to see, there is poly twine going across there. Over here, I've got a big log and high grasses, and that is a little bit more tricky to navigate with the poly twine because it's the highest rung on these step-in posts is not terribly high, so I'll have to go check what I need to do with that. I might need to put some extra posts in. I might need to climb in and around the logs. Okay, so I've just moved this one. That's a better angle. You can see that, can't you? I hope you can. So I've just moved it to this side of the burn pile and the twigs and the rubbish. So now we'll go over and fix this part. Okay, so we're coming down that line there. May have to move that post out a bit away from the poultry fence. I have a post here. Can you see that? Right here. So a step-in post here. I'm just taking it off the fence a little. Man, there's love bugs everywhere. And I have a post here, and over all these logs and briars and things, and this I'm not sure if you can see, but there's another step-in post on the other side. So this is going to be a very close line across here, and I will have to climb across there. And let me just clear one thing up. There are logs and fallen and lots of overgrown weeds and things. Contrary to popular belief, just because I'm from Australia does not mean I love snakes or that I am friends with them or that I like being around them. In fact, probably being from Australia has given me a very healthy respect and healthy fear of snakes. And I know some people, like my sons, think it's great to play with snakes and wrangle them and get them out of chook pens and stuff, but that is just like a horrible bad dream to me. I do not like them at all. And so this is like snake haven through here. But I think I'm going to have to climb across there to get the wire across. And usually my nimble-footed boys would be like, I'll do that, Mum. But I'm just going to have to suck it up, Buttercup, because I've got to get the fence in and in the right spot. I'm worried that it's going to be oh no, that one. Okay. My very lightweight tripod does not want to stay upright in this very long weedy grass, so this may or may not work. Probably not the most glamorous thing you've ever seen on YouTube. A 40-something-year-old
plump woman clambering over rotten logs to get a fence up, but there's no room for ego here. I just got to get the job done. So I got it done, yay! And the boys didn't help me. So I think having that one there helps. And I'm going to put an extra one on the other side before I get to the gate. That'll just help raise the wire a little, because one of the issues is the long grass, and I stomped it down as best I could. But we can't have anything touching that poly wire or it will short out, which means it won't be giving enough power to the wire to keep it hot enough. So I've got 2 extra posts, and I'm going to put one here actually, because this grass here is quite long, and one on the other side, and that will just help. See how much that will lift the wire? Quite a lot. All right, one there. When I am setting up poly wire, like electric fencing, in long grass and kind of bushy, woody, whatever you want to call it, conditions, I do, once it's done, I will go around and do a perimeter check around the whole fence line to make sure that there is no grass or twig or branch or anything touching on the wire. Okay, even though I don't have the Energizer hooked up yet, I've got the wire up, and Matilda is trained enough to the electric fence that I'm confident to go get her and bring her in here, and then I can finish setting up what I need to. Hey girl, do you like that? Yeah? Sometimes she just cracks me up. She gives me this look and it reminds me of a storybook. I actually still have it from my childhood. It was called The Cow Who Fell in the Canal. It was a Dutch book, I think. The cow's name was Hendrika, and you know there's canals in, was it Holland? Oh, yeah, I think it was in Holland. I might have that wrong, but anyway, there was canals, and the cow got in there. She was a dairy cow, and she got tired and bored of her paddock and staying on the farm, and so she wanted to go to town to market, and she fell in the canal. And the pictures in that book are just gorgeous, and sometimes she looks at me and I'm like, you just look like fat old Hendrika, who ended up coming back and being quite content staying in her paddock and eating all her grass. Yep, I'm pretty sure she's happy now. It is time to do a perimeter check, so I'm going to grab the halter, I left it over here, and we're going to walk all around the perimeter and just check that nothing is shorting out anywhere, and then I'll turn it on. So I've already checked probably the most dubious spot, which is here over the log, and I'll just walk around and check everywhere else. Now my darling husband did mow a perimeter line, so along that fence there, even though the grass was really long, he has mowed a strip. And he came and mowed a strip also. Let me see if I can show you. It's started to grow, but there is a mown strip right through here where it is quite a bit shorter, because he was worried about me walking Matilda through the long grass, and there are a lot of snakes. So you can definitely see it more clearly here. He's mowed along the fence line. So right here we have a twig touching. So I'm just gonna, sometimes if it's grass, I'll just stomp it down. If it's a twig or a branch, I might break it off. And the other thing I can do to help with that is just pull this post out a little bit further and make the wire a little bit more taut, and that will lift it just a fraction. I've unhooked this one now. See, let me see if I can show you. Again, it's very hard to necessarily see this on camera, but there is some long grasses here that aren't actually touching right now, but they could. So I'm just going to break those off. See, these little guys here could come up and short out our fence. There's one more here. Okay, one more there. Okay, you can see that's a lot more clear now. Okay, that's all checked and done. So I'm going to turn the energizer on, hook it up, and time to go have some brekkie. So we have had brekkie, and Gracie and I are heading out to get some hay because Matilda is just about out of hay. And while we're in town, we also need to try and find an internet cafe or somewhere where we can upload a video, because we have no internet and no phone at home right now after that big storm. We have our hay in the back, hay up the back, and we had a nice little mummy date and we got our video uploaded, so yay! So it is quite a bit later in the day, and I was just about to, I'm actually just getting some housework done, really boring stuff, but I really need to get on top of it. Like I've mentioned before, my attention has been really largely in the garden, and the house is suffering, so I am going to try. I'm smashing out some house cleaning. I needed to mix up some more disinfectant spray, which I did a video once on the cleaning products and things I use. So I've got to mix that up, which then reminded me that I also need to mix up more fly spray for Matilda. So I thought I would show you what I'm going to do for that. So it shouldn't take too long. I just need to quickly mix it up and then get back to the housework. Okay, so I have this recipe printed out, which the original recipe I think I got from Homesteading Family, but I've used it quite a bit and it does work really nicely. So it's just distilled water, and I don't always use distilled either. Sometimes I just use filtered water, vinegar, vodka, or you can use rubbing alcohol, which I'm going to use rubbing alcohol because I have it, and then it saves vinegar for other things, and 15 drops of essential oil. I probably I'm pretty sure I doubled that last time because my spray bottle's kind of biggish. So I'll mix that up, and then I'll do the cow fly spray. Okay, so the disinfectant's done. So it was 1 1/4 cups of distilled water, 1/4 cup of vinegar, 1/4 cup of rubbing alcohol, and 15 drops of lemon. And I doubled it so that I had more in my spray bottle. So now I will make the fly spray for the cow. Okay, so this recipe, which I got from the Living Traditions YouTube channel, and I have kind of altered it a little bit because I just didn't have the capacity to order different essential oils. So I'm using the ones I have, and it does seem to be working just fine. Not to say their choices aren't great, I just didn't have them on hand. So we start with 4 cups of water. So I've put that in there. And now we're just going to do 4 cups of vinegar. I'll use this one up first. So we're going up to the 8 cup mark. All right, so we're topping that up because I didn't have enough in that one. Top that up to 8 cups. And then we're going to do 4 tablespoons. 4 tablespoons of olive oil and 4 tablespoons of dish soap. And I will say I have tried Castile soap, and I know it didn't specify which soap. I think they did use like an Earth Choice type brand that was less toxic. The very first time I made this, all I had was Dawn dish soap, which I know is not very great as far as being good for you or chemical free or anything. But then the second time I used Castile soap, and I noticed a considerable difference in how effective it was, which I guess is not really that surprising, seeing as how people use Dawn dish soap to like kill wasps and things. It's no wonder it helps in fly spray, right? The Castile soap, when I used it, it still worked. It's not that it didn't work at all. It's just the spray wasn't quite as effective as when I used Dawn dish soap. So this may be controversial, I don't know, but I'm choosing to use the Dawn dish soap. I want to be able to milk and not have her kick the bucket over because she's frustrated with flies. So I want a fly spray that's really effective. However, I'm not prepared to go by the highly toxic pesticide sprays that you can get. So to me, it's a good option. It's not 100% clean. The other thing that I would like to do, Sean and Beth Doherty recommend putting fans near where you're milking. They just have big circular kind of industrial fans that they turn on, and I think that would make a massive difference. We do not have power down there at the shed, and I don't want to be running power cords across the paddock. I don't think that's a really good idea. So at this point, I'm just going with this option. Is it 100% best practice? Probably not. It is working, and so I'm going to go with it for now and try and, tweak things as we go along. So we're doing 4 tablespoons of olive oil. And like, you don't need the super expensive version of any of these things because it's just going to spray on her legs and then, wash off. 3, 4. And 4 of these, which you can use any soap you want. I just thought I'd give an honest review on the difference it made when I did choose to use this one, which that was kind of an accidental discovery because that's the only soap I had, and then that's just how it turned out. Give it a bit of a stir and see if I can pour it in without making a big mess. Okay, and then I just remembered I haven't put the essential oils in. So I am using lemongrass, tea tree, and eucalyptus. And the original video also called for citronella and what was the other one? Cedarwood. I had to check. So it also called for citronella and cedarwood, which I'm sure would be fantastic, and I actually think the cedarwood would smell amazing, but I don't have them. So if you have those, you can use them. I'm just using what I have. It calls for 40 drops of each, and because I don't have as many oils to put in, I put a bit more than that. I think that's about 10 drops. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 of those. This one comes out in drops. About 60 drops of that. And this one is going to be a dash because it doesn't have a measurement. So as you can see, it's all a bit approximate. Is that the, oh, I've switched the lids. As you can see, it's all a bit approximate, but it doesn't matter, it still works. So I'll give this, you can see there's still room in there. I could double that, but for now I just give that a bit of a shake, and I will take that down this afternoon when we go to milk and refill the little squirt bottle that I have down in the milk barn. Well, it is the end of the day, and Ty and I have come down to milk Matilda. We've had dinner. The sun is starting to go down. It's actually a bit late. It's been a busy day, but another day on the homestead, as well as a day of running around town getting things done and running into town to get videos uploaded. But the good news is the satellite is fixed. So sometimes in a really big storm, where there's a lot of rain and a lot of wind, I think it's the wind more so than the rain, sometimes it blows the satellite, I think, out of position and breaks the connection. I don't know. I think cloud cover definitely interferes as well. Not to totally cut it off, but to slow down the connection. It's a Starlink account, and anyway, it's usually pretty good, except when there's a big storm. Sometimes we have issues. So it took one of the older boys who knows how to do it, climbing on the roof and adjusting it all and getting it back online. Sort of got to connect it with the app and get it back online. So anyway, it's all done. We're back online, so all systems are a go. So Ty's milking. Just watch your toes, darling. Matilda's eating, and we are going to call it a day. But I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thanks for watching and hanging out with us on our 100 days of homesteading. We are chugging along through that 100 days, and we will see you again tomorrow. Sunshine and raindrops, friends. Until then.